Hello, Brian the Fanboy here, and today I'm gonna talk about anime. Now, I'm not really a hardcore anime fan, but there are anime that I did see and like. The reason I'm talking about it is because, it's connected with another genre from Japan, which I'll talk more about in another video. Now, one of the first anime I remember watching was The Little Bits and Nick Jr. Now, back then, I didn't know a cartoon like that was called anime. I just thought it was on the cartoon. Also, during my early years of watching Nick Jr., well, a lot of cartoons that used to air over there were like foreign cartoons. Of course, I didn't know it at the time. Now, when I was visiting my family in Peru for Christmas of 1993, there was this anime I was watching. I think it was called Captain Tabuka. I'm sorry if I didn't say it right, but it was a soccer anime, and I think it used to air on Saturday mornings, I think, or maybe it was on week afternoons. But anyway, when my family and I were still living in Metro Massachusetts, well, I remember watching the commercial for the Sailor Moon dolls, but I didn't ask for them because I was a little boy, and boys don't play with toys; we play with action figures. Anyway, eventually I found episodes of the Sailor Moon anime, and well, the reason I was watching it was because I was curious about it because I heard about the characters and what it was all about, but I really didn't get into it as much because, well, for one thing, well, it was mostly made for girls. I mean, there are boys who liked it, but for me, it didn't interest me. And of course, I had piano. Eventually, started taking piano lessons, and that was around the same time when Sailor Moon was airing on weekday afternoons. Now, I think in May was 96, but I remember Speed Racer would air on Saturday mornings, before the Fox Kids vlog would air on. Yeah, I think it was Speed Racer, followed by Captain Planet, and then Fox Kids would start airing their own shows on Saturday mornings. And I think that was Speed Racer was the last anime I saw while still living in Metro Massachusetts. And then when my family and I moved to Stoneham, Massachusetts, I remember watching Pokemon with my sister, and I remember it used to run in UBM 38, and of course it would air eventually moved to Kitsa UP as well for the second season. At least I think it was the second season. But anyway, yes. And I think one year after watching Pokemon, Digimon started to air on Fox Kids. You know, let's see. Oh yes, during my early teens, I saw the word anime for the first time on Blockbuster. Of course, at first I didn't know how to say it right because it was a new word for me, and I didn't hear other people say it. And I always thought, well, if it's just for animation, then why isn't it around with the kid stuff or the family section? Because you know, back then I thought all cartoons were for everybody. And it took me a while to learn about what anime was. Also, I remember Toonami would air on Cartoon Network. Of course, I didn't say Toonami on a regular basis was because, well, around the same time, WP56 was airing, some shows for teenagers, like reruns of the episodes of Seven Heaven, Sabrina Teenage Witch, and Clueless. But also, TBS was airing some sitcoms that I never thought of watching, before, but then I decided to watch them. And then eventually I learned about, some of the cartoons that were being popular at the time came from Japan. And that's when I started to, when I learned that or some of these about the origins for the film. And only that, some shows started to parodies of anime as well. American shows did, and then eventually told more and more about these cartoons from Japan. And then eventually, when Fox Family Channel became ABC Family, well, they became, well, let's see, yeah, they started showing more anime, and eventually ABC Family started to air Jetix, and we normally Jetix would air sometimes some cartoons from Japan, and then as well as American shows, and eventually it became what's known as I think every year they had this thing called Japan Animathon, which is where they would air animated cartoons from Japan. And I think eventually I learned the term anime. As a matter of fact, yes, also there were some American shows that were trying to catch in the popularity of anime. You know, like I guess there were American-made anime, but I didn't. Not all of them last long. Of course, one cartoon I saw that had say like an anime style was of course Teen Titans. And I talk about Teen Titans Go, but I talk about the series before that from the early 2000s. Their style were kind of like anime as well, and they wait, yes, and they had a movie called Teen Titans Trouble in Tokyo. And I remember some episodes of Teen Titans will have the theme song being sung in Japanese. And not only that, there was a Puffy Amigurumi cartoon. I think only lasted for one season, but yes. But I also remember that Sci-Fi had this thing called Anime Monday, which there were anime every Monday. And then when Cartoon Network started to air anime on during their Adult Swim block, they would have some anime as well. And then after I started watching TV shows on the internet, well, I started to learn more about anime. Once I hear reference, and then when I started watching YouTube, I saw some videos about people talking about anime as well. And after hearing about anime so many times, that I want to do some research and learn a lot. Yes, and then let's see what else. Yes, and there's many kinds of animes. There's a drama anime, romantic anime, sci-fi anime, fantasy anime, even superhero anime. I mean, and not only that, some anime are well, only there for adults only as well. I mean, some animes were intended for children, some anime are for adults, and some are for all ages. Yes, and I learned about sites where you can watch anime like Crunchyroll, Funimation, and even Netflix and Hulu has anime as well. And then of course there's anime conventions. And the first one I ever went to was Anime Boston. And it wasn't only the first anime convention, actually yes, but it was the first convention I ever went to. Of course, Boston Comic Con was supposed to be the first convention I went to, but I didn't because, well, because of the bombing that happened, back in 2013, and they had to move to another day and another location. So, of course, so Anime Boston had the honor of being the first convention I ever went to. And then also, last year, I made a vlog about my time at Anime Boston, and it was the first. Sorry, something happened here. Yes, it was the first video I made that was fully edited. Yes, like one scene goes to another scene, and that last time I checked, it got 144 views. And I was planning to do more conventions, may go to more convenient as well. But I don't know when it's gonna happen because I was we're on the world right now. Yeah. Oh yeah, and during the summer when I wanted to move to Massachusetts, well, I kind of had to well not pay for Netflix for a while because I had to well because I was moving and yeah close my paying account, so I had to wait until I get a job so I can watch pay for Netflix and Hulu again. However, even though I then had to be wouldn't be able to watch any shows on Netflix or Hulu, I was able to spend the whole summer watching anime on Crunchyroll because well and on Crunchyroll you can watch any anime they have available for free. However, thing is that you have to put up with the long commercials unless you press the skip ad options. But if you don't want to watch commercials during the anime on Crunchyroll, you can just pay for it. You know, pay to not have to watch it. You know, it's all up to you. Of course, so far I don't know how many anime, what anime are required for you to watch it by paying for Crunchyroll. But yes, and I'm not being paid by any anime industry like Crunchyroll, Funimation, Toei, Toho, and well, I can't remember the other ones, but yes, not, as well by Netflix, Hulu, you know. I'm not being played by you pay for anything. I'm just talking about something that I know is very popular, and you know, yes, and oh yeah, Cedric Thermos, yeah, but that's another continent thing, but yes. Oh, and also during my time about learning anime, I also learned about manga. Of course, the first time I saw the word manga was in the comic book store, but I didn't know what it was at the time. Of course, I learned from somebody that it was like comic books, but the drawing is similar to that of anime. I mean, the art is similar to the anime because you know. And I started to notice some things about the difference between American cartoons and Japanese anime. Like for example, in many anime, well the characters have wide eyes and pointy chins, but people in Japan don't really look like that. I mean, for some reason that's how they draw the characters. And let's see what else. Oh yes, back to Crunchyroll. Yes, I spent my whole summer watching Crunchyroll, anime on Crunchyroll, so many. And my favorite, of course, anime of all time so far is, of course, Konosuba. And the reason why is because, it's really funny. I mean, I laughed so hard when I first started watching that show. However, I don't recommend letting children watch that show because, that anime, because, of the kind of humor it has. I won't repeat any, I won't say what they have in it, but I don't think it's meant for children to watch. I think it's meant for older audience, but I really can't be too sure because I never lived in Japan, so I don't know if a cartoon like a show like that is acceptable to watch shows over there or not. I do not know. But there are some kid-friendly animes as well. But you had to, but if you have children, then you had to understand that you can that well you see some content for children's television might not be considered for children's television in America. I mean, maybe in Japan it's not a big deal, but in America, well, some of the cartoons that do the same thing, some of the same things they do in Japan, parents will throw a fit because they think that's not proper material for children. But of course, maybe in Japan it's a big deal, but I guess if you have children and want to know if certain animes suited for your children, you're gonna have to watch a whole series and decide whether you want your child, whether you let your children watch it or not. But anyway, yes, yeah. So Yeah, I mean, anime is a good genre, and I might watch some other as well. I mean, I don't know which anime gonna watch them in the future, but if I watch them, I watch them. So I think that's all I can say about anime in this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.